Cool.
That sounds like
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that till I
huh,
minimized or maximized again. Everything's broken.
that's a bug.
World is broken.
I mean, it
Yeah.
is their fault, but I mean, it's still a bug. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Ugh.
Bringing up my stuff. I hope yeah. I think I might have like catnapped it at the end of it, but I looped back and hopefully we're good.
Mm.
That's a problem when you get home at 11 and want to watch stuff.
I yeah, I watched this today. I thought about watching yesterday, but I just didn't.
Mm.
I've been trying to get some stuff done as far as like applying for a job, which requires me to completely tweak my resume and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And
Lie
I'm not doing
massively.
good. Yeah,
No?
I'm not good at lying. That's the problem. Is I
Well,
need to become better at it.
give me
Like
your
I
last.
have to.
What? Tell me something on your resume. We'll spice it up.
Um, where the fuck is it? Uh, here's my okay. For my film job, duties include tallying and keeping track of spending, receipts, purchases, and rentals, and tracking the budget for the set decoration department on major film and television productions. That's also a lie. It was not major. I'm an intermediary between accounting and our department for petty cash reimbursements, billing, credit card transactions, and other financial matters, and also responsible for building and maintaining good relationships with our vendors. I've also talked with various, wait, also tasked with identifying various items purchased by the show and relaying the information to the clearance department to get permission to use them on sets.
Comptroller of film finance.
Comptroller? Is that
You're a
even
co-
a
Call yourself
word?
a comptroller.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure comptroller's a word. You can look it up if you want.
But I don't think that I think that's like specifically government related and not like private sector, right?
Who they're not People aren't going to
Yeah.
know that when they read your resume. They'll be like
I'll come I'll
comptroller.
come
That's badass.
I'll
Have
get
I
this
ever?
under control. I
Uh,
when I saw that Simpsons episode, I thought they made up the word.
maybe they did. No, I think it is a real
I was like,
word.
"What? You mean
It's
controller?" When I saw it, I was like, comp what?"
Okay, that's Texas government. Okay, financial. Oh wait. Hey, damn man, I was like pretty. That's
Should I
actually
just go to
correct.
accountant?
You can call yourself a comptroller.
Should I just say accountant?
Responsible for the super no call yourself a comptroller, responsible for the supervising the quality of accounting and financial reporting of an organization. That's I was actually correct, kind of.
Okay.
What do you know? See, sometimes your tomfoolery is warranted, your buffoonery is sanctioned.
Oh, and not only that, one of these articles says controller versus comptroller. The differences.
What's the difference?
So controller is also a word. A
Well, I know they're both
comptroller has a
words.
larger role.
Ooh,
It's also a job. Keep
there you go. I
that.
just spiced up your resume. You're a comptroller.
I want to be a controller because it sounds cooler.
What a
Oh
comptroller is
well.
cooler because it's like people are like, is that even a word?
Comp, comp. It sounds like competent.
You're a competent
I'm
troller.
competent. I'm competent at trolling.
Yeah.
God damn it. Okay, let's get on to this fucking comp trolling this episode.
Okay.
Welcome to Podcast 1999, the podcast about Space 1999. I'm your host, Mark,
I'm
along with
another. I'm another host, Matt.
another host, Matt.
Uh-oh, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. Oh
Uh-oh.
no.
Was that what?
I was colliding with the screen for those
Oh,
that are
yeah.
listening. Yeah, for
Well,
because it's a
good thing the
collision
screen
course
just
today.
disappeared because a ghost spider lady told you that you should just go and collide with it.
I tried to get my head out of the way real quick to make it like it disappear, but I realized that all you did was see like the top of my head, so it wasn't really.
I thought you were actually like your screen was falling onto you. I didn't realize.
That's a kind of collision.
Uh, yeah.
Collision
But I was
course.
also I was also looking at something else trying to count what episode this was.
9. No, that's wrong. Forget I said that. It's later than
You
that.
are
It's like
wrong. It's
11.
13,
13, lucky 13. Yeah,
I
we're
think.
we're back to wildly out of order. So who knows? I could go grab my set and find out, but I'll just let you do whatever you're doing. Like perhaps
Yeah.
trivia. Perhaps you're doing trivia.
It's 13. Perhaps I'll do trivia. Perhaps. We have seasoned Space 1999 director Ray Austin back to direct. This is his fourth that we've covered here. You last saw him on Alpha Child. He's got 3 left this season and then 2 in season 2. Anthony Turpeloff co-wrote this script with his wife Elizabeth Barrows and the Andersons. You might remember him from Earthbound. He'll be back for 2 more episodes in season 1, both of them co-written with Barrows. Then 1 in season 2 without Barrows. Our only guest star this week is Margaret Leighton as Ara. She was born in 1922 in Worcestershire, England. I'm just going to say it how it looks. I don't care. She became a star of British repertory theater at an early age, studying under luminaries such as Laurence Olivier. She made her way to Broadway and won 2 Tonys and an Oscar nomination. Okay, she didn't win the Oscar nomination, but she got an Oscar nomination.
It's always nice to be nominated.
Yeah, you can brag about that. I mean, you can brag about like you have less space taken up by metal garbage. While she's subsequently appearing in both British and U.S. films and TV. In between her stage acting career, she appeared in works such as Arms and the Man and Marriage a la Mode, aka The Constant Husband. Sadly, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in the early 70s, and in this production, she was in a wheelchair that was concealed beneath her throne and filmed her scenes in just 2 days. She passed away the following year, and this was her second to last screen credit, followed by A Dirty Night's Work in 1976. That was a comedy. A Dirty Night's Work.
Doesn't sound like a comedy after you set it up as her last role.
Your last role could be a comedy. I think that's a lot of people.
I was just reading a book about Siskel and Ebert where it's talking about how when Whoopi Goldberg was up for nomination for The Color Purple, Ebert was like, "You're not going to win." No, it's Siskel. I said it because Siskel was more of the prick, and so he told her she should bronze her biscuit at the like breakfast for nominees or something. Which she did. God. She did. So she put extra metal in her house in the form of a bronzed biscuit.
Because Ebert did have a black wife, even though I don't.
No, that I think it was Siskel that did that. That's it. I mean, because he was known for being like too honest, right, about his opinions.
Well, you can also be in an interracial marriage and still be racist.
Well, just like you can marry. You're throwing it on the wrong person. I shouldn't have said Ebert first.
Okay, I mean, Ebert has said some bad things.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure, why not?
He did. I don't know. Just off the top of my head, he made fun of that guy from Jackass for dying in a car accident.
Well,
Ryan
might have been asking for it. I don't know. You put yourself in those. You do those stunts all the time. It's gonna, it's.
Yeah, see, that's what he was saying. One of the stars of
Jackass died is not a surprising headline.
Yeah, but it's still, he died in a car accident. It wasn't like he fell off of. It wasn't like he taped himself to a skateboard and then fell off a roof.
Okay, so he wasn't like intentionally trying to kill himself, is what you're saying?
No,
so, right.
I mean, unless he was, I don't remember what it was. It's just not very nice.
Okay, and anyway, the story that I was telling you was told as like not as a being horrible thing. Maybe my tone came through wrong. It was supposed to be like a charming anecdote because she went along.
But you know what? You know what though?
What?
I didn't say trivia end yet.
Oh crap! Okay,
I want to do a little thing which I've been neglecting for most of this show, which is to do a spotlight on one of the recurring characters, Prentice Hancock, who plays Paul Morrow, aka the only character who was sane in this episode. He was born in 1942 in Glasgow, Scotland. He studied architecture and was active in both rugby and fencing, but was most interested in acting. He started out doing stage plays, but started in television around 1969, and television roles are what he's most well known for. He's still around today and recently performed a one-man show based on Voltaire's Candide in 2008, which I would love to have seen. He has screen credits for works such as The Monster Club, Danger, Marmalade at Work, and Chalky's Children. His most recent credit is playing a dying Patrick Swayze in Autopsy: The Last Hours of in 2017. Hancock has stated in interviews that he has never been told why he was sacked from Space 1999. To be continued.
Yeah, so don't expect him in season 2, is what you're saying.
Sacked.
You say he played the corpse of Patrick Swayze in
He played
2017.
he was credited as older Patrick Swayze. I believe that show was sort of going over celebrities' lives right before they died, but I'm pretty
Isn't
sure he just died of cancer. So I don't know what this
Yeah,
episode would have
because
been.
Mara, the actor for is much older, isn't he? Isn't he way
Prentice
older?
Hancock,
He's way older than Swayze.
probably not
Wasn't Swayze
significantly
like in
older.
high school, like in the early 70s?
Well, okay, he was born in 42. So when was
That's
Patrick
Swayze.
Swayze born? When
Oh,
no, Prentice Hancock was born in 42.
okay. When was Patrick Swayze born?
He was born in 1952. So,
So yeah, that's a
but
pretty
but
notable difference.
maybe Prentice Hancock wasn't dying of cancer, so he just, Swayze probably looked older than he was, right?
I guess it's just weird casting, is what I'm saying. Also, he's like a different. He's like, what do you say, he's Scottish? It doesn't make any. I
I
guess he's a
mean,
corpse, so it doesn't matter. But
the only way to know for sure is to watch that, and I'm not doing that.
also, it's
So
a
you
yeah.
can.
It's like, what were you in the show? I was a corpse. I mean, that that
It
happened
didn't
once
say
where
corpse, so I think he played because you just make a corpse, right?
yeah. Oh,
Like
you just said
Stephen Guy.
older. Okay, because you said
Yeah.
autopsy. So I guess I started thinking of a
No, well, the
corpse.
name of it, yeah, the name of, but the show is called Autopsy: The Last Hours of, which I think means it's just going over the last hours of,
Okay,
Patrick Swayze probably lying in a bed being sad.
right. Okay, something like that. Okay, well that's a bummer. Let's
So
try
yeah,
let's try
lots
something
of
different
bummer
then.
trivia here, right?
Yeah,
Just bummer all around.
such
You
a
know what else is a
killjoy.
bummer? I hate this episode.
Well, you want me to describe this episode?
Yes, he should.
Moonbase Alpha's Eagles are busy setting nuclear charges to redirect an incoming asteroid. Alan Carter is not able to quite set his charge in time. While the moon base does avoid a direct collision, they become engulfed in some kind of weird radiation, while Carter is lost somewhere in its haze. Commander Koenig defies all the advice of his crew and sets out in Eagle 4 to find Alan. A strange disembodied voice brings the two Eagles together, and Koenig spots a massive planet that it turns out will collide with Moonbase Alpha in 105 hours. Both Koenig and Carter are a little weird upon their return, which Dr. Russell chalks up to radiation sickness. Koenig prepares to initiate Operation Shockwave, in which they will blast the moon away from the colliding planet in a manner similar to leaving Earth orbit. With that disembodied voice, it's Ara, Queen of Etheria, i.e., the planet that they are about to hit. She says that the moon leaving Earth orbit was no accident and that this situation is predestined. In fact, the correct course of action is to do nothing. Koenig and Carter believe this and try to cancel Operation Shockwave. The crew does not agree, and so Koenig and Carter take the command center hostage and proceed to do nothing except scream at the incoming planet. Ara does not appear to save them, but at 0 hour, Etheria simply disappears. The planet's only touched. Just the tip.
Just the tip.
So you're in episode hatred land. Okay, I feel like you're
Yeah, I
supposed to
hate
wait
it.
at least 10 minutes before you throw that out. But okay, let's put that
I
on
am
the table.
trying. I'm trying not to be shrill about it. I hated it though. I hated it very much. I think you probably guessed that I would hate this, right?
You don't like predestined stuff.
Exactly. And there's just nothing here but that. And there's nothing here but that. And also the way that Koenig and Alan act is only like corresponds to how villains act. Like they're not acting like good guys here.
I assume that the thing about radiation sickness was also correct. Like
I that
they're communing with this weird queen on the planet, but they're also actually like a little bit well, I guess I'll say brain damaged in this episode.
it's not even if I don't know how you would even rewrite this to be good. That's the thing that really bothers me. It's like if there was a reason to trust the spider lady, if if she did anything except for hey do nothing, if if there was a twist where I don't know, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, doing nothing sometimes is often like the correct course of action, which is typically not what we see on television, but or in
Also,
cinematic
I feel like
storytelling.
I feel like Moonbase Alpha has just done this 3 other times and just ended up in orbits of planets and not collided with them. So I don't know how that works.
Well, I guess you are going too fast to achieve orbit with the. They say that it's like 24 times the size of the moon, I think. So it's a pretty massive planet. It would be hard to maybe get a. See, now I'm trying to apply science to it, which barely makes sense. So,
There's no science here. I don't even Operation Shockwave. I don't I don't see how they would have avoided the orbit. Also, how did they not see the planet uh, until they were on that Eagle?
because they were in a
If
giant fart cloud. I don't know. I guess there's some dream logic at work here. You're right.
yeah, it's also the idea that do nothing and you'll be fine was already we've already seen that in Another Earth, which was better than this because it had more things going on because there were stakes for our characters. The only stakes here is that Koenig has somebody tell him to what to do, and he insists that she was right, and
Yeah,
everyone else is wrong. And this is the thing that I keep complaining about, which is that Koenig is omnipotent and knows everything and knows exactly what to do, and nobody else does except I guess Alan. Um, but but the thing is that it's kind of the only way it's turned on its head here is that usually everybody else is brainwashed and Koenig is like snap out of it, and in this one Koenig's brainwashed and nobody else is, but he's still right. This is just so frustrating to me.
not not
It's so
not a fan of the
frustrating.
divine
Nothing
providence.
nothing she said made any sense. It was like we have to mutate, but you're not going to mutate, but we're going to mutate into spirits that are immutable. Like what? You don't mutate into spirits. That's not.
Well, you've never mutated into a spirit. You just don't know how the process works, is what I'm saying.
I told myself I was going to not be shrill in here. I'm just basically screaming. What did you think about this episode?
I mean, yeah, it's not my favorite. Like Black Sun did this like a lot better, right?
Yeah, I agree. And I was kind of mad at that episode, and that episode was also much better and had more character development for everyone.
I mean that one had like the full. I think both of us gave that high dread scores, and I don't know what we're gonna give this one
Mhm.
yet, but I have a feeling it might be lower, because there's some goofiness here. Yeah, like I see what you're saying. Like Koenig, like once he's in the radiation, we can say, oh, that's radiation poisoning. But
Mhm.
even like when everyone's like, yeah, Carter is definitely not out there anymore. He was just in a nuclear blast, and now there's radiation all over the place, which is a
Mhm.
reasonable piece of advice to give. And then he's like, no, I'll do it anyway. And like literally everyone tells him not to. So
You early on there are all these
that's before
announcements after
radiation.
that explosion happens at the beginning, which was really cool. Um, he's told that 14 people died, and he's just like, "Where's Alan?"
Injured,
Like,
injured.
he does not
14
care at
people.
all. Oh, they didn't. They said, "Oh, they said 14 casualties." Does that not mean
I think
death?
they mentioned injuries at some point. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they weren't dead,
Well,
they were injured.
okay.
I mean, you can't just off 14
Withdrawn.
people all willy nilly on this show because they only have like what 286 people left at this point.
Around there, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what you told me. I mean, we've skipped a couple
Well,
episodes to record this, so maybe we're down to like 275 or something by now. I don't know.
I could look it up real quick. Because it's on
Don't.
jerryanderson.com, which I
Yeah.
love the fact that it's on jerryanderson.com.
Oh, you're gonna
Uh,
give us our number? I guess you're already in the midst of it. I was gonna say I don't care, but now you're halfway there.
no.
Maybe you're all the way there. You're making those
This is
search
difficult.
noises, the noises of searching.
Why is this so hard?
I don't
Do
know
they
why is
not
it so
have
hard.
this episode? I'm not
Maybe they don't.
finding it.
Maybe they don't. It's episode 3 and airing date.
I am just not fine. Maybe there just aren't. Maybe they
Two
just want to
seventy
pretend this
five.
episode.
I'm just going to
Okay.
assume a few people died in the last few
Okay.
episodes because that happens sometimes. But yeah, I mean, why it doesn't? I mean, 14 people would be a lot to off, and I mean that's going to happen, I believe, at some point or more. So, but
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, my point is that they were. It sounded. I had the impression there's like there's injuries. I mean, I could see if anything's up there in my notes. I just wrote
I
that his
just
plan is
skipped
kind of
this.
crap, which is true. Always fun
Mm-hmm.
to disregard your flight check. When he does get in the Eagle, he's just like, "Forget it, I'm leaving." It's like, no, you actually have to do a flight check before you leave. It doesn't matter
Well,
if
when he
you're in a
comes
rush.
back, he's like, "We don't have time for radiation. Checking my radiation level." Like, are you kidding? Great captaining. This is some of the worst captaining I've ever seen.
He has faith of the heart.
That's bad captaining. I mean, unless it's unless he's gonna just blow up Voyager and hope it works, I guess.
Moonbase Alpha. Sorry, I said faith of the
Yeah,
heart, and
but this is
that
the thing. He didn't.
crossed
He
your
was trying.
wires.
He wasn't gonna blow up. He just doing the opposite. He was doing reverse Janeway. He was like, "We're not gonna blow up Moonbase Alpha."
That's probably a good idea. I mean, you don't want to blow up your own
Well, it
thing.
turned out it was. In my
Yeah.
notes, I just basically said I would rather them all die than he be right about this.
That would
I
have
was
been a
so mad.
fun ending as a heart, Moonbase Alpha blows up and we go dun, 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 dun. That'd be great. I guess that's how C Lab 2021 ended every episode, but
They would have done that, but they also would have. I don't know. This actually could have been an episode of C Lab
yeah, I was about
2021.
to say, what if you
It
thought it
really
was
could
just as a
have.
C Lab episode? Does it work better than
You don't understand. This woman appeared to me and told me not to do anything, and then just everybody's just sitting there. Yeah, it makes sense.
blinking? Yeah, well, there'd be less screaming in that one. Well, there'd be screaming about nothing, of course, but not, dramatic screaming.
So there were some other things here. Did you notice that some of the dialogue was a little bit weird?
I guess. Do you wanna qualify that statement a bit?
Let me I'm having a hard time parsing my notes. There was one point where okay. Yeah, okay. The radiation check thing, I made a note of that being weird. Um when when Berkman says I've been thinking and then Koenig just says that's the best news I've heard all day and then he sort of starts to crack up but then they're interrupted. That was strange. It was executed strangely. Um when when Helena says John is still alive inside that alien spaceship and Paul says there's no need to state the obvious and then she just looks kind of sad. It's like really
Well,
weird.
I mean, it's not 100% obvious.
Nope.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's a little weird. To be honest, I guess I'm just like people are talking. I did write that Alan gets very close to take me to your leader. So I think he
Mm-hmm.
says take me to. He doesn't say leader. He says something else.
he
But I wrote
said
down
he
later in
says
my
take me
notes.
to your people.
Yeah, that's close. No, I was noticing other stuff like
Yeah, so
Martin Landau's nipple was really prominent in a few shots.
no, I missed that.
Okay,
Jeez, I should have been paying attention to that.
you
Yeah,
should have done a nipple
but
watch.
I took down some of the Ara's dialogue verbatim because it was so bizarre. Like my gene will mutate and take on a form unrecognizable and become spiritual but immutable for time inconceivable. Like what? It's
Well,
just
here's the notes I
insane.
wrote. I'll just read my notes verbatim. But during when she's saying all that stuff, I said you'd need
Mm-hmm.
quite a bit of chaos magic to predict this. Time to
Mm-hmm.
find your next Poke form. Okay, please be more specific. This is just trippy vague. I bet they'll become Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
So I guess that was where I landed. That they were evolving into Ninja Turtles.
But obviously part of what offends me so much about this episode is just that what are the odds that Moonbase Alpha would even break away from Earth in the first place and then just show up at this specific point in time?
Laura
Basically means
clears
it's like
that up. It's all
just some
predestined.
kind of god, because how would you predict that? I that's insane. Like they barely got out of this, what they just did, you know.
Well, they were always
That
going to get out of it. The advice was do nothing, right? So they just made a whole bunch of drama regarding it with taking hostages and becoming villainous. And
it's
yeah,
just like the writers giving themselves permission to not do anything.
I did think Dr. Russell apologizing at the end. I mean, he does say you did the right thing, of course. Of course, she did the right thing. She
Yeah,
wasn't crazy.
he did. Yeah, he told her she did the right thing, and he said he didn't know what he would do if she was in that situation. And then he just walks away, and it's over. It's not
Yeah.
really. I feel like he should have said, "Hey, sorry, I was a complete jackass about it." I don't know.
And then drives off in his
Because
car.
I was putting this in my notes, like how are they even supposed to go back to normal after this? How are they supposed to take him seriously, even if he was right? Like, why was he right? There's no explanation for it.
It's the
The next
radiation.
time,
It's weird
if
radiation. I'm going to blame everything
if
on the radiation.
it's like if somebody tries to sell him a car and he thinks it's a good idea, is everybody going to bet on him no matter what? It seems like boomer logic. Like, yeah, of course I trust that man. He said he was selling alarms. It's like, just of course.
Well, it is a show created in 1973, so you can put boomer logic on
Yeah, that is fair.
it. That makes sense.
Mm.
I guess my favorite, like you said, as Landau's been getting more screamy, him screaming at the planet at the end was I like that a lot because he's just
I
screaming at a
yeah
planet now.
yeah. It's very fun hearing him scream at things.
Especially inanimate things.
It was pretty hilarious when Paul just decides he's gonna go beat everybody up, and then his outfit kept switching between orange and red because it was probably just the stunt double wearing the wrong thing.
Yeah. I was about to say
That was
lighting, but I guess that doesn't really
I don't know. It was
th-
impossible to parse what was happening. I rewound and watched it 3 times, and I don't know what happened.
um when kind of gets on our ship. One, they had those awesome black and white tripscapes on the background. I'm just getting into the design stuff. And
Yeah, I
then he runs into all those webs. You know, we know he doesn't like webs. We learned that a few episodes ago.
all right. What was that guy's name? Ron.
Yeah.
Surprised he didn't start screaming Ron.
Mm. So there was that. I read that the planet looks like a slightly rotten peach. I
The
thought it was I thought it was a cool planet design they had.
It was a cool ship design too. The big whatever, the ship with one lady on it.
Yeah, something that this show never fails you on is fun design. So got that
Yeah,
going for it.
yeah. I love the spider chamber. I love spiders.
Really?
I the it looked cool. Yeah, I love spiders.
Like in your
That's
room?
sure. I
Okay.
love them. I'd have a pet spider if I, you know, wanted to spend money on things like that.
You don't get spider bitten?
I've I joke very often that I might just die because I'm trying to be friends with a spider or a snake,
Okay.
both of which I love.
Oh my, no, that's not. Sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'll have like four bites like close to each other. I'm like, oh, that was a spider, wasn't it?
Ooh,
See, that's me and the spider. And yesterday I ran into a snake on the road. Uh, I
but see,
didn't
I
like
hate
that so much.
worms, and worms
Huh.
are totally harmless, but I hate them.
Okay, yeah, I can deal with the worm. I just it wasn't a big snake, but it's big enough that I wanted to kind of give it its ground, I guess.
Yeah, I hate slugs and worms.
There's a snake in my boot.
Yeah, basically. But you still have that mammal thing. Like I was jogging on a trail I normally am on, and it was like I ran past a snake I didn't see, and it was coiled up, and it like out of my peripheral vision, it uncoiled and like slithered away really fast, and I was just freaked out because my mammal was brain was like, ah, snake.
Yeah, that's
But
where I was yesterday because I thought it was you think it's a stick just for a second, then it slithers, and oh, that's not a stick.
but but I mean, if it's in my full range of vision, I'll probably try and make friends with it.
But anyway, this is more of a spider show, as you said. So
Yes,
this
it
would be
is.
like this would be your spaceship, is what you're saying. You'd have the
Yeah, pretty
spider ship.
much.
Okay.
I mean, my spaceship would be very like Frank Lloyd Wright with like a waterfall going through the middle of it and low ceilings.
Okay.
There would still be spiders.
Webs? How do you feel about walking through webs? I
See, I
hate
don't
walking through
really like
webs.
webs. I don't really like
Mm,
webs.
okay.
I don't like the feeling of it.
No.
However, I do wear a lot of like mesh things like that, like sort of moisture wicking shirts that do feel more like silk than they do like cotton.
I think that's what
So
I'm wearing, but it doesn't feel like a web.
I think but it does, it's closer to a web than it is like a cotton. I don't
Mm,
know if that's worth anything.
okay.
I
It's
like
silkish, is
slick
what you're saying.
fabrics. I like
See,
slick fabrics.
next time you're out here, you'll have to go visit the silk mills.
Yes. Can I get a
Silk mill,
souvenir
silk
for
mill.
perfectly awesome large American large size shirt from them for a
You,
discount?
I'm sure you could get cookies with like pictures of the silk mill on it.
It's sold. Sounds
it's a
great.
it's a World Heritage site for some reason. Uh,
Yeah. Well, I mean, silk is great.
mm.
I love silk.
I
Um,
I did feel like it is weird for Koenig and Carter to be so down with like this creepy spider lady. I mean, like, what if it were Peary?
it's
I mean,
it's
that
that's the
wouldn't
thing.
solve
That's
your
exactly it.
predestination
It's
problem,
just
but
the opposite of Guardian of Fury. It's just that Koenig is still right, even though in this episode he's the screaming maniac who trusts the alien intelligence. It's just it's ridiculous. Maybe you can make the argument that much like Guardian of Fury, everybody is a lot calmer than Koenig is here, right?
yeah, okay, yeah.
So there you go. Maybe the answer is always the most intense answer.
I wonder what would happen if they did Operation Shockwave. Does it just fail and they still just touch the planet? I mean, is it like if they do anything, does the planet just not disappear anymore?
I bet what happens is they would just go around the planet.
Right. And then Ara would be annoyed because she
Yeah.
didn't evolve into a Ninja Turtle.
She would say, I don't know, I didn't know everything after all. I mean, if she
Goodbye,
knew everything, if she
goodbye,
knew exactly what
goodbye.
was going to happen, why did she have to appear to Koenig and say your friends have betrayed you, even though they're really not as friends as much as they are as
Coworkers,
subordinates,
subordinates. Yeah,
coworkers,
I guess that's either way.
both?
Um,
Because and also, I mean, he should have been removed from command. That's the right thing to do. That is absolutely the right thing. I mean,
but then
uh,
we saw what happened last time he wasn't in command. Everyone was screaming at each other and fist fighting within like 2 hours.
well, maybe they should have. God, I don't know.
They're gonna
Maybe that's
have
what
a.
should have happened.
They're gonna
He
have
got
a.
they
They're gonna punch it out for who the new leader is.
they punched in this case. They punched it out for who is the dumbest. I don't know. They punched it out anyway. I couldn't tell what Bergman was doing in that fight. I was like, is he helping? Is he helping Paul or is he doing something? I couldn't tell.
He
It
probably
was
didn't
just
even know what he was doing. It's a
confusing.
confusing situation to be in, isn't it? I mean, if you're in command and stuff like that starts going down, I don't know what's happening. I'm just
Well, there
gonna
was
sit at my console and wait for this all. See, doing nothing in that case would be the correct course of action. Don't get involved in the fight.
absolutely a point when Bergman was making the faith argument again, and then basically somebody says that Koenig has radiation sickness, and then Bergman was like, "Okay, let's do Operation Shockwave." It's sort of like he barely made any kind of position. He barely had a position on this.
Operation Shockwave is a position to take.
Yeah, it's cool sounding position that would have been awesome. Um, I don't
Blow
know.
it up
I
real
just
good.
don't. I don't think it's even on the just on the level of. I think it's a bad message to say to people, "Hey, maybe some stranger you don't know who invades your mind and controls your mind is right." Like I don't like that. I
Yeah.
don't like it. It's not good.
I guess the confusing thing here is how with Carter and Koenig, how much of it is them being insane and how much of them is under the influence, which is not made particularly clear in the episode. You could say they're not,
Hmm.
you could say there's literally just hearing the voice, or you could say she's literally like controlling their actions, and both might be correct.
And maybe she never even existed and it's just a thing that you imagine when you get radiation sickness, even though the thing that you imagine is correct somehow.
Did anyone else see the planet? Maybe the planet was never there to start with.
I
No, I
think
guess
they saw the planet.
everyone sees it at the end. You're
Yeah.
right. Because that would be fun if they just were like radiation sickness craze, like we're gonna hit a planet, but there actually is no planet there, which turns out to be the case anyway.
Yeah, maybe that planet was maybe they're all radiation sick.
Yeah,
I would
it's
have
like
liked that if
it's
that
like
was an explanation.
it's like there's a lot of plot details, but there's no basic premise here. Is maybe the issue.
Yeah, there's no premise, and the message is at best trust the spy, trust the ghost,
Trust the spider lady.
trust the spider ghost. Yeah, it just doesn't. It yeah, no. Um, I mean, the message is just that Koenig knows everything and everybody else knows nothing.
Mm.
That seems to be just the premise of the show, which is
Like a boss.
very obnoxious. I mean, there is no. I don't. I mean, is Captain Kirk like? I don't feel like Kirk was written like this, right?
Well, they kind
I,
of have the ego and super ego thing going on with him, and I guess that's supposed to be the same with Koenig, Victor, and Dr. Russell, but it doesn't. He
Mhm.
doesn't listen to them enough, I guess.
Yeah, in this case, not at all.
Or in this
I
case,
mean,
not at all. Yes, I mean, and with Captain Kirk would at least spend. He wouldn't spend the 5 minutes that Picard would in the observation room talking it out, but he'd spend like 30 seconds, and they'd have that cool like triangular monitor thing in the center of the table.
I mean, they subverted that super hard by just literally making Picard into a Borg in like the third season of that
Well, I'm talking
show.
about standard
So
operating procedure. I'm not talking
yeah,
about yeah.
yeah. But I'm just saying that define helped redefine him as a like fallible character. Whereas I feel like Kirk was lucky but not omnipotent, you know?
Yeah, I
Like
think
maybe too lucky, maybe portrayed as a little bit ridiculously overly lucky in the
well they
Kelvin
kind of
films.
get to that in Khan, that he's been too lucky.
But he also did some clever stuff in Khan, but then yeah, his luck runs out, but Spock just takes it for him.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
he bites the bullet for him. And here
One
I
could
was
say you're
thinking
not lucky if your friend dies.
of the premise of this one, and maybe one thing is, as we said, it's easy to compare Lost Space 1999 to Trek because the premises are similar. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
this episode is an extremely kind of 1950s sci-fi premise, like where
Mm-hmm.
it has all those logical gaps because no one really thought it through enough. Um,
No one, it feels like no one thought it through much at all. Like they just we're like we have this legendary actor who is dying, so we're just gonna give her a few lines, and then maybe they built the episode around her. Who knows?
that might be the case because I'm trying to figure out what is the strong idea behind this. And okay, the collision thing, we've done it, like we said, Black Sun in particular. Um,
Yeah,
they did air this as the third episode. So if you're watching on TV, it was Breakaway, Force Life, and then this, which
which feels like they just threw it out there to die.
that might be the case. I actually would be. I guess you didn't run across on your trivia, but if there was any, we never hear about what the creators thought about what they created with so much on this. Like the actors loved this episode, or Jerry Anderson thought this one was great, or this one was a scum dog.
Sometimes I come across that stuff, but it's not. There isn't a lot of it.
Did
A
you
lot
did
of
you? How about
a
for
lot of
this
the wiki
episode?
stuff. A lot of the wiki stuff is like, oh well, it was filmed here, and this happened on that day. Let's see. Collision course. Let's just have a look. Let's just do trivia in the middle of the episode. More extra trivia.
It could be like I think I mentioned the Murder She Wrote thing before, where they'd bring on aging actors simply to give them a modern credit to renew their health insurance, which they had
Well,
at that point in time.
this is some stuff. Martin Bower is back doing the ship, which makes plenty of sense.
Yeah, the ship was
Bower.
cool.
Yeah. This is some stuff that I did sort of come across, but decided to leave out. About Margaret Leighton. She was wonderful, but she didn't understand a word she was saying. She had a lot of nonsense to
You
say and
didn't
had no
either.
clue what it meant. She was really quite worried about it. Um, she said, um, she said during the shoot, "You better get this shot because I'm not going to last long." Which
Oh,
is another
okay.
thing I left. I left that out on purpose because it was sad.
Yeah.
I really feel like she seemed like someone who was dying, and I kind of wish they had not cast her in this. She did a really great job, but it had this sadness about it, while at the same time being complete utter nonsense that meant nothing.
So okay, I don't know. Is that a good way to dovetail that into our basic question of existential dread versus sci-fi fun? You can put the fun in quotes this week if you want.
I I'm having a real problem with this because remember how I said I'd rather everyone die than Koenig be right about this? I don't
Right?
know. Do I feel I'm just going to say 50-50 because I didn't care if they died and there was a lot of dread. I had a lot of dread that just nothing, that everything is just in the hands of random spider gods who know everything, which is
Yeah.
terrifying.
See, I want to take it way down. I'm gonna put the dread at 10 because it just
Mm.
dread requires at least some kind of dream logic that makes sense. You don't have to explain it. Of course, it's probably better if you don't explain it, but it has to make some. It has to have some kind of inner logic, and um, the parts of this car don't fit together. Is I guess
Mm-hmm.
so. You can't have dread if there's not like a concept that makes a lick of sense, or at least creates an emotional response. Most of the emotional response here is, oh, here's this actress having her last hurrah, basically.
Mm-hmm. I
So
I my sense of dread really comes from that you that's I'm a lifelong atheist. So
mm.
in most cases the idea of religion having arbitrary rules does scare me because there's always the who's right about this and how would they know, and this is the thing where you have to listen to a screaming lunatic who says fly into a planet, which is scary.
So 10% dread for that.
Uh-huh.
30% sci-fi fun because the ship is cool. There are some cool designs. Some cool designs I haven't seen before, and then that leaves 60% sci-fi stuff. So, and like I said, a lot conceptually, it feels more like a 50 sci-fi that doesn't quite. You watch like something with a eye-catching title, and it just doesn't really make any sense in the end.
Yeah, the thing I feel a sense of dread over what is it going to be like to work with Koenig after this, because if I work in Moonbase Alpha, I don't trust this dude anymore. I don't. And except that he was right, so that makes me mad. So
So
I'm like,
it's
I don't trust you, and you were right for some reason, which makes me mad, and I can't explain why, which makes me worried.
we would get
Um,
a 70s TV reset button to hit, so you don't have to worry about next
mhm.
episode.
Yes. I mean, did you see the movie Midsummer?
No, you actually
Oh,
asked me a few times, but you can go on about it if you
uh,
want.
oh well. There's a sort of a part at the end where everyone dies except for one person, like a horror movie, and all I could think about was what is this person gonna feel like when they come down off these mushrooms? And it makes me really upset. And most people, their reaction to it is like, "Hell yeah, girl,
Mm.
set that dude on fire, awesome!" And I'm just thinking, how is she gonna feel when she comes down off mushrooms?
Look what I've done.
I'm assuming most people have seen the film, so they probably know, or at least understand the reference.
Yeah, I mean, it made a bit of a splash, I remember.
There are a lot of memes.
Yeah, but I'm way behind on movies I was supposed to have watched. So,
But yeah, I worry about what is Rey Skywalker really gonna do? Like, what is she really gonna do, man? Is she really gonna continue not being evil?
she's the Palpatine. Yeah, she's gonna
Yeah.
be the Empress.
Well, something's gonna happen because there's a movie.
No, there isn't.
So,
There's no movie where that happened. What are you talking about?
oh, there is a movie with her in it coming out.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Uh-huh.
See, I've
Maybe.
lost track of all that too.
I mean, maybe not. Maybe it won't. We don't
Mm-mm-mm.
really know, do we? We don't know until it's finished. But it's yeah, it's like I didn't feel that sense of dread at the end of Return of the Jedi, but I feel this sense of dread of what's really going to happen after this. Because for one thing, the writers of Star Wars have proven that they're just going to keep bringing fascism back
And now they've told you what
and
happened
evil.
after that in excruciating detail. So,
Yeah. Mm.
So there's
And
that.
also, yeah, and then if it's not fascism, it's horrible what Senate stuff, I guess.
So here you just get the commander screaming at people and taking them hostage so they can all do nothing. Isn't that better?
That's terrifying. I hate that so much. I hate it so much.
So
I don't want that.
are we going to rate this as your least favorite of these so far?
Yes, unless one of the ones that we haven't recorded yet is worse than this. I'm I'm expecting for this to
Now,
be one of my all-time lows.
sorry, I'm having a look at my set here now just to see if there's any that I would rate lower. I don't have
Mm,
your curdling hatred,
mhm.
but yeah, I definitely like. I was like, it didn't like really engage with me so much. Because another time in another place, I like that one like a lot more than you did. Let me
That
see.
was, did I call that Another Earth earlier? Another Time,
May,
Another Place is the name of that
maybe,
episode.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
called it Another.
Oh, okay,
Oh
well, that's a
God.
movie too. I remember Force of Life didn't quite do it for me, and whereas you love that one, I
Oh
think,
yeah, I
or
love that one because it was just a murderer. The thing is that that guy's motivation made perfect sense. He couldn't keep the things from killing people, so he went and killed people. There's no, you know,
that one's
he
premise
created
made more sense.
his own fate, whereas in this episode we're told to just sit back and let Spider Lady do her thing.
You just
But
trust Spider Lady
Zorev took things into his own hands.
by murdering.
Yeah, so he's better,
So you want to kind
sort
of
of.
just start murdering people.
I mean, he almost did this episode. I feel like he would have
Yeah, yeah. You
towards the
just
end.
a little push a little harder, you become a Zoraf, I guess. So
Yeah. Yeah, you either die a Zoref or live long enough to become a Koenig. Wait, that's not right.
or maybe it's the other way around. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you
Well,
die.
I guess are we finishing this one up?
I believe so. I think
Okay.
this is done. I've
Mark's brain
screamed
has
way more
exploded.
than I should have, and I apologize to all the listeners for screaming into their uh,
Into
device of
them
choice
ear
this much.
holes. Okay.
Mhm.
I guess tell them where we're at.
We are at patreon.com/podcastio. Please check us out. Bonus content. Donate money for us to be super good at things like saying thing on podcast. Find us on Facebook at Podcast 1999. Um, find our other podcast, Films and Filth, the Citizen Kane of podcasts. Time Enough podcast, currently going over one step beyond, probably. Uh, called
I
Disney.
did book an actual Twilight Zone episode for last week, but I might have to sit on it a bit.
Yeah, might as well bank them. We're banking this, right? Um, we've got Luke Loves Pokemon, game show about games, Hyrule Field Report about Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. I believe that is all of. Never mind.
I
I
stopped
almost,
listening after I interrupted you, so I'll
I
just assume
almost
that's
said,
fine.
oh wait, in podcast 1999, which is what you're listening to.
That's what you're listening to. Okay.
All right,
Cheese of the
well,
Week report, where we review a different cheese from around the globe each week.
don't tempt me.
Sense of the world. We tried to describe things that you've never smelled before.
Brick size weekly, where we go over sizes of different bricks.
And if they fit together and what you could make with them. Never Legos. Lego, excuse me. Don't put the S on that.
The Lego building system.
Okay. Now, if anyone's starting with this episode, one, it's probably the last one they're going to listen to, and now they don't know which podcasts are real and which ones aren't.
I think if anyone listens to this episode, they will just have tuned in because they like Space 1999 and they probably started with the first one and then stopped listening.
Just listen to the spider lady. She knows everything.
Yeah, just if somebody invades your mind, just listen to them and do nothing. Take your hands off the wheel.
Just do what the
Just take your
voices in
hands
your
off the
head
wheel.
tell you.
Just take your hands off the wheel, man. And if
Just
somebody tries to
drive into
put
the
their hands
night.
on the wheel, then scream at them and attack them. Okay. Okay, I gotta stop.
Okay. I hit record button.